I think these days the relationship between humans and the environment is relatively fraught. We lost a lot of apex predators, we're losing a lot of big animals, we're losing rare species to poaching, and we're losing species to ignorance. Fish are getting overfished, and people do not necessarily know how rare or how important biodiversity is. So we're not in a good place. 30 years ago, Douglas talked about the last chance to see a lot of animals, trying to bring our attention to the fact that unless we did something, a lot of these animals were going to go away. And now I'm looking at a world in which tigers in the wild will probably go extinct during my grandchildren's time, if not in my lifetime. And the idea of an elephant may become an abstract thing. On the other hand, people are smart, they are inventive, and they can be purpose-driven, and they can fix things. And right now, it would be nice to think that we could fix some of the things we're making a mess of. I think there's always grounds for optimism. And I think there's particularly grounds for optimism when it comes to educating, and educating the young in particular, showing them what is important, showing them why biodiversity is so incredibly valuable. But also there's a limit to what one enthusiastic school kid in Twickenham can do about actively saving tigers. So education takes you so far, but you also need governments, you also need enforcement, you need a will. And whether it's the will to actually save bluefin tuna, or the will to save the rhino, or the will to save tigers or elephants, or smaller, uglier, less romantic species. We do need that will. I tend to be a sort of very pessimistic kind of optimist, because I have a certain amount of confidence in the natural world. I have very little confidence in people. But I figure that if people screw this up badly enough, then that's fine. The world will continue to turn without us, and maybe 100,000 years, maybe 1,000,000 years after we've been here, it will be as if we were never here. And species will multiply because species do. And maybe the world will never see an elephant, another elephant, but it will see other glorious, strange species, and people can discuss the peculiar, extinct Homo sapiens. On the other hand, we are smart, we are inventive. There are glorious and fascinating things that biologists are doing right now in regard to reviving extinct DNA, and also working with those animals that are threatened because their genetic pools have become too small, whether it's Tasmanian devils or prairie dogs. There are things out there that the same techniques that may well wind up bringing back the woolly rhino and the mastodon may well help them to survive and conquer. The earliest I remember having a real sense of wonder for the natural world was actually a plastic toy Noah's Ark type zoo, when you got these animals and it was playing with the elephants, playing with the rhinos, playing with the giraffes, and going, these things are so unlikely. And I'd look outside my window and I'd see squirrels and sparrows and robins, and I remember the wonder at the occasional winter stoat. But it really was the desire to see those things in the flesh. And the great thing about actually meeting an elephant or a giraffe or a rhino is that they do not disappoint. But then again, echidna do not disappoint either.